Subscribe to the MTL World at Mythal World 1 YouTube channel. Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin. Volume 11, The Xuanhuan Blade Dao. Chapter 392, The Mysterious Land, Blood Crane Territory. 7th of Volume 11. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Blood Crane Territory is located extremely far from the practitioner's domain. Setting out from the border, it took Luo Feng a full 100 days to finally arrive at this mysterious land, the Blood Crane Territory. Finally, here. Following his sense of the Shadow Lord's presence and using the time and space route map, recorded by Lord Xingmeng as a reference, Luo Feng had managed to reach this place relatively easily. In the infinite Xuanhuan space, most mysterious lands are difficult to locate, varying in fame and the potency of their inherent power. The most renowned of them all is naturally the Eternal Land. The Eternal Land had already extended an invitation to Luo Feng, and he also held a seat there. However, since the practitioner's domain had not yet been fully secured and Luo Feng's coronation as a lord had not even been held, he is in no hurry to visit the Eternal Land. The Blood Crane Territory is one of the lesser-known, mysterious lands, having only nurtured 3 Xuanhuan ancestor-level existences. Luo Feng observed the Blood Crane Territory before him. What lay before him was an endless expanse of blood-red sea, within which countless creatures lurked, all watching Luo Feng intently. A sea of blood. Upon seeing this boundless blood sea, Luo Feng felt a sense of familiarity. Back in the original universe, he had once possessed an abyssal sea clone, skilled in transforming into a blood sea. Even after arriving in the origin continent, the blood sea transformation remained one of Luo Feng's commonly used techniques. Thus, the sight of the blood sea filled him with an odd sense of familiarity. Ever since becoming a lord, I no longer need to transform into a blood sea, Luo Feng thought. During his weaker days, when his control over power was imperfect, he had resorted to becoming a blood sea, even forming blood sea formations. But after achieving perfect control, whether in his physical form or as a blood sea, his mastery was flawless, but neither state offered any additional advantage in strength. This endless blood sea before me is far more powerful than my own body. Just by sensing it, Luo Feng could tell that this boundless blood sea seemed alive, flowing slowly and exuding an overwhelming sense of threat. Luo Feng. A voice echoed from the depths of the endless blood sea, since you've come to the Blood Crane Territory, why don't you dare to enter? Are you afraid? Afraid? Luo Feng chuckled. With his mastery of the Xuanhuan life-death Dao, Luo Feng instantly sensed all the creatures hidden within this vast Blood Crane Territory, 3 Xuanhuan ancestor-level beings, over 500 world-level Xuanhuan existences, and more than 30 billion high-level Xuanhuan lifeforms. At this moment, the 3 Xuanhuan ancestor-level beings and the 500-plus world-level Xuanhuan existences are all observing the outside world, their gazes fixed on Luo Feng, the lord who had come alone. You 3 weak Xuanhuan ancestors of the Blood Crane Territory, how could you possibly make me afraid? Luo Feng scoffed. If you're not afraid, then come in. Another voice, laced with anger, rang out. Let us 3 weak Xuanhuan ancestors see just how strong you, a practitioner lord, really is. A third, hoarse voice added. The other 2 lords of the Blood Crane Territory rarely ventured outside, but now that their lair is under attack, they had no intention of backing down. HMPH. Luo Feng smiled. Boom. His figure shot straight into the endless blood sea. The moment he entered, Luo Feng sensed the peculiar nature of the Blood Crane Territory's blood sea. This blood sea is a perfect fusion of 3 supreme-tier powers, Luo Feng instantly deduced. It corresponds precisely to the 3 major factions of the Blood Crane Territory's lineage. The creatures nurtured by the Blood Crane Territory primarily excelled in 3 paths: life, immortality, and shadow. The strongest among these factions are the Blood Lord, the Crane Lord, and the Shadow Lord. A blood sea formed from the perfect fusion of 3 supreme-tier powers is indeed far stronger than mine. It contains the 3 traits life, immortality, and shadow. It is more resilient, and omnipresent. Luo Feng recognized the gap. The 3 supreme-tier powers contained within the Blood Crane Territory are all exceptionally strong in survivability. Combined, their defensive capabilities surpassed even Wu Lan's. In Luo Feng's estimation, if someone comprehends all 3, their survivability might even exceed that of the Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor. The Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor represented the pinnacle of defense but could still be trapped. The shadow trait of the Blood Crane Territory, however, made one omnipresent. Comprehending even 1 supreme tier power is enough to reach the Xuanhuan ancestor level. I've never heard of a Xuanhuan ancestor comprehending 3. Luo Feng thought to himself. Even among the practitioner lords, only Lord Xingmang has comprehended two supreme tier, Daos. With the fusion of his two Daos, Lord Xingmang's survivability ranks among the strongest in the infinite Hunyuan space. After all, he exists across past and future. Trapping him is outright impossible. These mysterious lands. The infinite Hunyuan space birthed origin worlds, which were founded on the fusion of multiple great Daos as their origin. But the mysterious lands it bred contained several supreme tier powers, granting them extraordinary properties. For example, the infinite world could reflect any location in the infinite Hunyuan space, while the abyss of destruction could forge powerful weapons of destruction. Origin worlds have their own origins. Mysterious lands also have their origins. Given Luo Feng's immense mastery of life, he could faintly sense the origin of the endless blood sea's power. First, deal with the Shadow Lord. As Luo Feng flew through the endless blood sea, he continuously analyzed the various characteristics of the Blood Crane Territory's blood sea, seeking to uncover its mysteries. At the same time, he advanced at full speed toward the Shadow Lord's location. The environment of the Blood Crane Territory has minimal impact on his strength. The Shadow Lord, Blood Lord, and Crane Lord all noticed this. The endless blood sea exerted immense pressure on outsiders. Yet wherever Luo Feng passed, the blood sea parted naturally, offering little resistance. He excels in life-type techniques and can influence the blood sea's power to some extent, the Blood Lord remarked. I told you before we shouldn't provoke the practitioner faction. Among the three strongest factions in the infinite Hunyuan space, we must avoid conflict with them. But you, Shadow, insisted on acting recklessly, the Crane Lord said with displeasure. Didn't you also benefited from the resources I plundered? The Shadow Lord retorted. I supported you in raiding other weaker factions, but never in provoking the practitioners. The Crane Lord shot back. Enough. This Lord Luo Feng is charging toward us. Let's focus on facing him together, the Blood Lord said. I'll deal with Luo Feng myself. I refuse to believe he can do anything to me within the Blood Crane Territory's domain. The Shadow Lord immediately took the initiative to attack. The Blood Lord and Crane Lord did not rush to intervene. After all, any Hunyuan ancestor-level existence, when employing their true body, could unleash terrifying power. With their life cores within their bodies, they had access to vast energy reserves, enabling them to execute numerous techniques and multiply their strength several times over. Without a life core, they could only muster, at most, 30% of their power. The difference between having a life core and lacking one was immense. Thus, when the two major factions went to war, the Hunyuan ancestors either abstained from battle or participated only with their true bodies containing life cores. Without a life core, they would only become liabilities in such high-level combat. Luo Feng soared through the vast sea of blood, while the creatures nurtured by the Blood Crane Territory scattered far and wide, not daring to approach. Luo Feng paid no attention to the weaker world-level Hunyuan or high-level Hunyuan beings. It's a practitioner lord. I've heard that practitioner lords are the most terrifying existences in the infinite Hunyuan space. Even the innate Hunyuan lifeform faction couldn't defeat the 8 lords in the war against the practitioners faction. These world-level Hunyuan beings are somewhat knowledgeable. Many of their clones had plundered the practitioners' domain, so they are aware of the latest developments. They wouldn't dare provoke this lord in the slightest. Before him, even a single glance could annihilate them. Boom. Luo Feng flew at extreme speed. He's coming at me proactively. Luo Feng sensed a massive aura rapidly approaching, far stronger than the Shadow Lord's clone he had encountered in the practitioner's domain. A colossal shadowy figure appeared ahead, its body seemingly condensed from countless tangible shadows, a twisted behemoth with blood-red eyes fixed on Luo Feng. Luo Feng. The Shadow Lord's true form roared, his aura surging and stirring endless blood waves. Born in the Blood Crane Territory and mastering one of its supreme tier powers Shadow, he could mobilize the Blood Sea's power to a tremendous degree. If we were outside, even in my true form, I'd be far weaker than you. But here in the Blood Crane Territory, my birthplace, you are no match for me. The Shadow Lord's voice boomed, resonating through every inch of space-time. Luo Feng regarded him coldly. Just you. The 3 lords of the Blood Crane Territory should come at me together. Arrogance. The Shadow Lord raged. His massive shadowy form merged with the surrounding blood sea in an instant, and the vast sea of blood surged forth, crashing toward Luo Feng with overwhelming force. HMPH. Luo Feng stood his ground, his life-death domain resisting the onslaught. The blood sea pressed through the domain but collided with Luo Feng's protective energy barrier, a shield sustained by 1.8 billion origin cores. Impossible. The Shadow Lord, leveraging the terrain, mobilized the boundless power of the blood sea for a direct attack. Within the Blood Crane territory, his strength has at least doubled. Yet, he couldn't breach Luo Feng's defensive barrier. During the great battle between the two factions, Luo Feng had withstood attacks from dozens of Xuanhuan ancestors, seemingly sustaining heavy injuries. In truth, the vast majority of the damage had been blocked by his protective energy layer. Outside observers, watching from distant space-time, only knew Luo Feng is incredibly resilient, but they couldn't discern how much of that resilience came from his barrier. Is this all? Luo Feng said softly, pish. In an instant, boundless power erupted from Luo Feng's body, locking onto his enemy through life force perception, infiltrating, corroding, and annihilating. The corrosive forces took the form of threads, blade lights, mist endless and all-encompassing. Luo Feng's combat style fully exploited his infinite energy advantage. The Shadow Lord's survivability was formidable, but he soon realized that Luo Feng's power was nearly impossible to expel. For every bit he removed, he had to expend 3 or 4 times the energy. Luo Feng's power remains at its peak without the slightest decline. Even under the siege of the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction, he could restore his companions to full strength. In terms of energy recovery, he's likely among the top in the entire infinite Xuanhuan space. Even in the Blood Crane territory, I can't outlast him. The Shadow Lord understood even with the support of his homeland's energy, a prolonged battle would only lead to his death. Die. Shadow is omnipresent. It exists outside and within. A terrifying force erupted inside Luo Feng's body, seeking to tear him apart from within. Yet, every inch of Luo Feng's physique was flawless, indomitable. The Shadow Lord's internal attack inflicted only superficial wounds, which vanished in the blink of an eye. Rip. With the fusion of shadows, the surrounding space-time became an extension of the Shadow Lord's body. Space itself split apart and so did Luo Feng's form. Attacks came from everywhere, inside, outside, all-encompassing, relentless. But Luo Feng was unbreakable. The core of his being, the 1.8 billion origin cores, was where his energy was most concentrated, stable, and invincible. The power of shadow is indeed troublesome. Luo Feng extended a hand, and a blade materialized in his grip. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to MTL World at Middle World 1 YouTube channel.